We have played all of the ranged DPS in Midnight with their awesome and less awesome reworks, so you don't have to, or at least to kind of rank them in the category of fun. Of course, this is not about numbers, this is not about who is going to be meta or not. Nobody really knows at this point, and whoever's telling you what the meta is lying to your face. That's why we shall not do that intentionally. But we will be ranking them based off of how fun they are as of now, with the early stages of alpha probably changing by the time the game goes live, but we might revisit this at a later point. So for this moment, we shall go with Affliction as our first contender. That got a massive rework, with the video coming soon in a YouTube channel near you. For now, Affliction Warlock is actually really good. I will have to try to rank these without the expectation that they will change, because nobody really knows what happens. Because if this doesn't change, this is probably the best version of Affliction that I have personally ever played. It is drastically simpler than what we have on live. It is finally easier to maintain dots in AoE with a new talent that makes Agony apply to 2 targets, just like Balance has been having for so many years with Moonfire. It doesn't really solve a lot of tap targeting, but it is still part of a dot class, so maybe tap target dotting shouldn't be that removed from the game, and just putting everything into a vial tape might be a little bit too much, but this is fine, And a stable Affliction coming back as a shard spender, as well as Seed of Corruption coming back as a shard spender. Oh, your boy cannot be more happy about all of these changes. It is chef's kiss for the Warlock. And before we continue, let me tell you how to actually get more cloud storage safe and simple with today's sponsor, Phylon. Phylon is an encrypted cloud storage service which you can access through the web app, desktop app, or mobile app, aimed at literally everyone for any type of activity. You can be an individual looking to store your pictures or videos, or that weird vacation I told you not to talk about. But it's also really good for businesses, and that's something that Marcelian and I kind of have had experiences with, since we work on multiple videos and projects at the same time, together with our editor, and having the options to transfer files and organize them is the best thing for our productivity. Not to mention that the actual management of them is so intuitive and recognizable, since it looks just like Windows Explorer. Starting with Phylon is easy. To create an account is free, takes less than a minute, and you get to use 10 gigabytes of storage to test out the cloud storage and see if it is what you were looking for. By the time this video ends, you can already have files stored on the cloud in a safe embrace. And let's not forget about security, which Phylon does really well, with client-side encryption where your files are not accessed by just anybody, except you, of course. Phylon is also about being zero knowledge and easy to use, with its servers being located in high security data centers in Germany. The encryption key used to keep your data private is something only you have access to, since you save it on and never leaves your very own device. The security system is also open source, which sounds a bit paradoxical, but the tech to keep everything secure is there for any knowledgeable person to see, since for us, they could have just told us the formula for making croissants and we wouldn't be able to tell the difference. You can sync all of your cloud storage on multiple devices, whether you use the browser on your PC or the app on your phone, and Phylon comes with a lot of other innovative and fully encrypted features to suit all of your needs. To get started, check the link in the description. Making an account is free, and you'll be able to support the channel in the process. Moving to augmentation, you might be surprised to find out that I actually started to like Evoker more and more. Now, it's never going to be like a main contender for me, or, oh my god, I'm going to play this no matter what. But I can safely tell you that the rotation is pretty fun. And not to mention, the capstones are actually really cool. Bringing back your future self to actually do damage and extend your Ebon Might is actually really cool. And you being able to extend your future self clone the same way you would extend Ebon Might is really great. And what this does more than anything is that the way that they've designed the Apex hero talents is the promote safe habits when it comes to your rotation. If you play your rotation correctly, the way you're supposed to, you know, extend your Ebonite properly, use your empowered abilities to, at least for skill commander, make your eruption apply bombardment and use eruption to properly extend Ebonite. You also extend your future self. That is actually really swell, instead of adding some abstract synergy that you would need an add-on for or a guide to look up to. This is really good. I don't know if it's fully A or B tier. This is mostly a personal preference. I would like to feel a little bit more impactful. Here's the thing, right, which is very controversial. I would like to feel a little bit more impactful when it comes to a support class, but we've been there. We know what that means. But either just take away all of the support and give me just full-fledged earth damage abilities that just destroys everything. I think if I could play Augmentation in a Mythic Plus setting with actual players and a DPS meter to kind of know exactly how big my contribution was to my party, maybe I could feel a little bit better, because this is all about the performance. Because playing with followers doesn't really mean much of anything, but it is fun to play. It is small, but it's kind of like average for me. Balanced Druid also is a very, very, very close contender for S tier. I don't know if it's necessarily quite there. Okay, so I have, here's the thing, I will put it into S tier and I will tell you why, but I have a lot of doubts that it will make it to life this way. So I have played Balanced Druid, and we've had a video on it as well, with the new moon and full moon and all of that with the Lunes Chosen, which is not how you play Lunes Chosen now, or have you played it for the last few years. You always played it with Fury of Elune, but if you can play it with new moon, that is so cool, because it just adds such a different dynamic to your rotation, and it just feels new and fresh. And Keeper of the Grove, I have played it with a short Convoke, and that makes it so much fun, and you have so many procs, so many instant. I think Balanced Druid might actually unironically turn into the most mobile caster outside of Beast Mastery. And if that remains the case for Balanced Druid, it could very well be a solid S tier tech, spec tech, I said. It has the tech to be the spec that is S tier, is what I mean to say, because it is fun. It is simple, but it's not as simple as other specs, and I don't know if that's necessarily a problem. Obviously, I like a little bit more complexity in my specs, but I understand that with the new philosophy of class design, this might not make it to life. But as it stands right now, I fucking dig it. Also, Arcane, dude, this is just a big winner. There's a new version of Arcane Mage every patch for the last couple of years, I feel, but whoever's working on Arcane, I can honestly say that they really enjoy World of Warcraft, and they want World of Warcraft to be fun. It's not complex. You don't need a degree to play Arcane. If anything, it's actually really, really simple. It does have some contradictory concepts that seem to kind of work against each other. You can go into a full-fledged orb playstyle where orbs now can consume your clear casting and then just launch more orbs that generate more charges, and of course generate the new Arcane Salvo, which is kind of like the old Arcane Harmony. Then that makes your barrage do more damage and also have a chance to spawn more orbs. So this gameplay loop is just very satisfying. And it also has an Arcane Missiles gameplay that I am so for if they can manage to pull this off. It just feels like there's a, I think it's called, no, I forgot what it's called. I was confusing with something else. The Arcane Missiles capstone that makes Arcane Missiles consume charges. That seems like it's a little bit controversial, because it kind of goes against what you want to do with your rotation. Because if Arcane Missiles consumes charges and Arcane Barrage consume charges, then which one are you casting? Because one buffs the other, but if you cast one, you don't have charges. What do you generate charges with? It's a little bit less intuitive than the majority of the specs so far, but if that becomes cool, then you have these two identities of Arcane Mage that are just so much fun to play, and you don't really need weak cards or add-ons to track anything whatsoever, so that's really great. I do have to say that Beast Mastery Hunter has been a very big letdown. It doesn't seem like we have an F tier spec here, tier line thing category, because I would want to put BM even lower. Listen, I understand BM is not supposed to be a complex spec. I don't want it to be a complex spec either, but I do feel like there's a lot of choices missing from the spec. It doesn't really feel like it matters that much what I do. Keeping Frenzy up as a mechanic wasn't necessarily an interesting thing that BM did, but at least it was a thing that made me feel a difference between playing correctly and playing incorrectly. Now, as long as the button is off cooldown, you press it, and 99% of the time you're going to be doing some right with BM Hunters. If that's the case, then sure, but I would love BM Hunters if they bring back at least pet families, pet management, pet talents, pet skills, stuff like that that made Hunter really cool in a world where it was so simple. Wasn't as simple as this version of BM Hunter. But I don't want the spec to be complex, but give me the flavor of Beast Mastery Hunter where I can feel that it matters which type of pet that I have. It matters that I have 1 pet or 2 pets. It matters that I'm sending out a stampede. But to be fair, Beast Mastery looks cool, but behind the hood, nothing really happens. It's just a fancy little Ferrari with the engine of a little motorized tricycle is the best that I can categorize it as. Demonology also has more or less somewhat of a similar problem, but controversial to what most warlocks might say these days. I actually don't mind it as much. It is a little bit bland, and the imps being capped sucks a little bit, at least in single target, because in AoE you're just going to be imploding so much that it doesn't really matter that your imps can cap at, I think baseline you have 3, then you have 2 more talents that can add 3 more, so you can go all the way up to 9 total imps. And if you, I don't know if you can go to 12, maybe if you go Ancient Imps, but once you implode your imps, 99% of the time you're gonna get a Doom Guard if you play with the Doom Guard talents, and always getting a Doom Guard off of an implode feels very impactful, feels like I don't really want to spam and raise a large army of imps, because I just want more Doom Guards to come out. That is really fun. In single target, I can see this becoming a little bit more bland and more boring and less rewarding for a proper rotation, because it has been very drastically simplified, which is why I'm putting it into B tier, otherwise it would be an A tier 100%. Destruction, I feel, is kind of like a worse version of the current live version of Destruction. I really loved the super quick to cast Soulfire that you got from resets. It didn't really get a lot of interesting tools. It's fine, it's Destruction, but it feels like it's just a watered down version from live. A lot of specs have been simplified, like Balanced Druid, like Arcane, but they got like some cool new toys. Even Demonology has been simplified, but got like some cool new flashy toys to play with. It doesn't really feel like that's the case for Destruction. It feels like it's probably more skill intensive than Demonology, but it's been watered down from. If live, it would be like an A tier now, in Midnight is B tier. Still Destruction, it's still pretty much the same. Fire Mage is garbage. Oh my god, I wish there would be a Z tier for Fire Mage. I don't know if our Fire Mage video is gonna come before this year list. I don't think so. So you don't know yet our full opinion on Fire Mage, but you might know soon. It's terrible. It's actually worse than BM Hunter. I cannot believe you only have 2 buttons. Realistically, 2 buttons and 1 consumer. That's it. This is the most boring spec in the game. I wish I kind of just don't want. I just want to put it back. I don't want this to be in the same tier list as World of Warcraft specs. This is terrible. This is the worst World of Warcraft I've ever played, and I've played through almost all the expansions. Frost Mage, on the other hand, cooking with the new freezing/shatter rework. I dig the Water Elemental being there. I wish it would be a little bit more impactful. I think Water Elemental only really matters for Spellslinger. I believe, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the Water Elemental also helps you apply Frost Splinters to your target, or at least interact somehow with freezing. But we still have, as of recording this video, we still have missing talents in the Frost tree, one of which is supposed to enhance the Water Elemental, since it's just right downstream of it. And I'm hoping that would give Water Elemental like a reason to be out, because as it stands right now, it just shoots its water bolts, and since you don't really need to freeze targets down for your shatter, you don't really care, because Water Elemental used to be an access to another Frost Nova effect, but now that's no longer the case. So I don't know what they're doing, but everything else is really fun. It's slightly more, I wouldn't say complex in the live version, but it is a little bit more interactive. It's a little bit more engaging. I have really enjoyed Marksmanship, playing it with Dark Ranger specifically. They've improved Sentinel as well, to be fair, and the fact that Marksmanship is the only Hunter spec that gets both of the upgrades for your cooldowns, where you get, on your True Shot, you get Wailing Arrow for Dark Ranger and Moonlight Chakram for Sentinel. I feel like that's such a big bias. Clearly, the main Hunter dev is a Marksmanship enjoyer. However, losing Streamline is a controversial thing. I don't necessarily mind it. I don't mind casting a long-ass aimed shot. I don't think that's inherently bad for the game. It has to feel more impactful. It's okay right now on Alpha, as much as I've been able to test it. It does more damage than Black Arrow, so that says quite a bit, I guess, but it's still not as impactful. But then again, it is follower dungeon, it is leveling a dungeon, so we don't really know how it actually plays in endgame. The concept is nice, it is a little bit simpler, you have fewer things that you need to track. I kind of wish Explosive Shot would be back for at least maybe one hunter spec, and just having it in volley is just a little bit boring and I kind of miss it already. Devastation has actually been the most fun A-tier spec so far, especially with the Flame Shaper rework. I have heard some opinions about Flame Shaper and that the people are missing Engulf already, and I get it, but I feel like this is just a better version thematically and playstyle wise. Having it revolve around consuming the dot of Fire Breath more aggressively feels really cool. It feels like you can pull off some really neat combos depending on how you use your finishers. I think I've played a dungeon with Devastation where you put up your Fire Breath on a lot of targets, make sure that they're very, very stacked, pop your Dragon Rage so that the pyres just instantly eat all of the Fire Breath damage, then cast another Fire Breath, then just start spamming pyres, and you actually, ironically, feel like an actual fire-breathing dragon. You don't look like one, but you feel like one if you close your eyes and use your imagination. The story of Evokers, everybody, this is what it is. Maybe not to anybody's surprise, but Devourer is probably, right now, almost the most fun spec in the game. Clearly, all of their class philosophy, design, and direction is represented in this one, because this is new, right? It didn't have to go through the cumbersome barriers that it had being built as a spec for so many years, like all the other ones. It's just fresh, new, so all of their new ideas for classes can just be properly implemented in this new spec. It's almost too simple, I do want to say. So if you are worried that maybe WoW is too complex, then you can definitely start with the new spec Devourer. It is very simple, almost too simple. At least Felskard, if you play it with you have to play with the Hunt, of course, so you play with Hungering Slash and Voidblade. That playstyle is actually not that easy to play off, and that's great, because if you want a more simplistic version, you can play Annihilator and go on the right-hand side of the talent tree, and then just play purely from range, shooting Collapsing Stars and Void Rays, and you're super safe. You do have the short range, so you kind of have to get used to it. It's kind of like Evoker, but it is very simple and very satisfying. If they want aim shot for marksmanship to be very satisfying, they just need to look at Collapsing Star. You, of course, cast aim shot way more often than Collapsing Star, so it cannot really beat that. But all you have to do is to make one ability take a long time to cast, but then just have this very satisfying animation, sound effect, and feeling for your rotation. Of course, Devourer has some problems with its souls consumption, so it's not perfect, but it is really good. However, there's a spec that is perfect, and if we had an S+ tier, this is where Elemental would go. I legit still hold the opinion that Elemental and Enhancement, but Elemental in today's video, is the perfectly designed, probably even better than Enhancement, the most perfect design spec for Midnight as it stands right now. Everything is impactful. You can go at any side of the talent tree. It doesn't feel like you have bloat talents outside of maybe like whatever upgrades Thunder Strike Ward or whatever that shield enhancement is. I feel like that's just kind of pointless a little bit, but having Fire Elemental out next to me, oh my god, I did not know how much I miss Fire Elemental until I just saw it next to me. It's like, oh my god, I had you all this time, but I haven't been playing you for 6 years. Oh, I miss you so much, buddy. That's basically the feeling. And everything is so impactful. Everything is just around Stormkeeper right now, instead of just giving you different types of instant chain lightnings and lightning bolts. You can just have Stormkeeper charges, and that's about it. The Elemental Blast playstyle with Ice Fury has been simplified. You don't have Ice Fury anymore. You don't even press Frost Shock almost at all, since it's just a utility ability. So it has been massively simplified. Super recommended. Last but not least, I am still not 100% sold on Shadow Priest, and I will tell you why it is currently in B tier. I super dig the Tentacle Slam. I think it's way better from Shadow Crash. Shadow Crash, yeah. It has a bigger range. It is a line, so you kind of have to position yourself to aim it, and it has a deceivingly large range. You can hit quite a bit with a Tentacle Slam, and if you play Void Weaver, it is satisfying, but I feel like Void Weaver's Entropic Rift just lasts for not enough. They did put Void Torrents as a Void Reaver only ability right now. I'm not sure if Discipline gets it, but who cares? It's a healer. Nobody plays healers anymore. I'm kidding. But we're still missing a couple of talents on the right side of the talent tree as of recording this video. So I don't know how the full thing is. I'm not interested at all in playing Archon. I think it's a boring hero talent. I think the fantasy of it is giga boring. Archon, I don't care about that. But the playstyle is very rewarding. It's not anything new. We still don't have Mind Seer back, so I cannot really rank it any higher. It's just a better quality of life Shadow Priest with hopefully shadowy apparitions coming back. I've played a Shadowy Apparitions playstyle. I wasn't super impressed with it. It didn't really feel like the old BFA Shadowy Apparitions, which I kind of miss. So I don't know if that's going to change, but as it stands, this is how it's looking like right now. Once again, use Filen for a safe and transparent way to store your files on the cloud in an easy and intuitive way by creating an account and using the 10 gigabytes of storage for free forever. Most of the specs are winners, as you can see. B tier is mostly very subjective bias, so you might actually really like the B tier specs, but the D tier specs are just absolutely incredibly bad. However, this is just for the range. We of course have the melee one that you can see right here. We've released it last week. It's probably kind of slightly similar. You have a lot of specs that are really good and just some that are so bad that it's terrible. You can still click and watch the video and maybe decide on a new main to play in midnight.